Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. What is going on with football fans at the moment? Arsenal are not bottling the league and Potter does not need to go. You know what? This happened with Man United on Wednesday, so I'm well briefed on this. We drew with Leeds and some of our fans were having a pop at 18-year-olds like Garnacho, disgusted with the draw against Leeds, even though we'd won our last 13 at home in a row. I just think the levels of expectations in fans, which shouldn't be criticised sometimes, have actually gone to ridiculous levels. You look at Arsenal today, and I took a couple of minutes after the conclusion of the game just to have a look at the social media. You see many Chelsea fans saying Potter needs to go. That's only 2 wins in 13. Can I just say, in relation to Chelsea, 2 wins in 13? Okay, I love it when people start to go that far back, because actually you bought a load of players in January. So really you've got to look at late January results. And since the loss to Fulham, where Felix got sent off, you've conceded 1 goal in 4 games, and you've drawn 3 and won 1. That's progress, but go back 13 games, won't you? You've conceded 1 goal in your last 4 games, and you've won 1 and drawn 3 of those games. Progress. You need a striker. Everyone knows that. Oh, Potter out, Potter out. I'm just like, you know what? You support these teams. Support. He's just had a load of money spent in January. And as for Arsenal, can I just say, they're not bottling the league. They haven't won a league title for nearly 20 years. They're not bottling something. They're defying the odds. They're exceeding. They're achieving. In the sense of, if you want to win the league, you need to be beating teams like Brentford at home. Maybe. But teams like Brentford at home? What? Brentford who are in the top 8? Brentford who are having a really good season. Brentford who've already beaten Liverpool and Man United this season comprehensively. Brentford who are ridiculously difficult to break down and could have actually won the game at the Emirates today. Brentford who represent this amazing Premier League at the moment, where Wolves can be 1-0 down against Southampton away from home and still win 2-1 with 10 men. Leicester who get beat every week and then suddenly they're winning 4-2 away to Villa and smashing Spurs at home by 4-1. This Premier League season is ridiculously unpredictable. And it feels to me, it's like last week when Chelsea drew with Fulham at Stamford Bridge 0-0, and it's like, oh, it's not good enough, it's not good enough. Put some bloody respect on the league, this fantastic league. Arsenal drawing with Brentford wasn't shocking to me. Like, the fact that Brentford, Brighton, Fulham are in the top 8 is because they're good teams. This Premier League is the Super League. Brentford have probably got more money to spend than most teams in La Liga, the Serie A, the Bundesliga. This is what we've created, and it's not a monster. We've created a league where the teams outside the traditional top 6 can acquire really good players. They can go and buy an Atletico Madrid player. They could buy a Juventus player. They've got the wealth to do it, and that strengthens our league, and that makes it so that Brentford can go to the Emirates and get a draw, and people still think, well, I bet so many people were putting Saka as captain in their fantasy Premier League team, expecting a 3 or 4-0 win, because, a couple of years ago, you probably would expect that, but not anymore. Man United have got Leicester at home next week. That's sandwiched between Barcelona. And I'm like, that'll be a really difficult game. They've just scored 8 goals in 2. We might be a bit tired. We'll have to be on it, even though they're potentially in a relegation battle. The competitive nature of this Premier League season is such that I think if you're at home, and I'm talking at home because at home is a game where you should always be looking to win. Even if I'm an Arsenal fan, there's only 2 games I'd guarantee that you'd expect to win at home at the moment, and that's Southampton and Bournemouth, and possibly Forest. But maybe West Ham. But Everton now under Deitch, Wolves under Lopetegui, Leicester have had a renaissance. You wouldn't expect to necessarily... You'd expect to beat them, but it wouldn't necessarily be nailed on. Very competitive league. Look, Arsenal needed to win today. There's no doubt about that. Everton loss, draw with Brentford. That's 1 point from 6 going into the biggest game of the season for them, which is Man City at home on Wednesday. It's a bad result for Arsenal because... Not because it doesn't mean you're going to win the title, but because your confidence is not where it could be. 1 point from 6 just puts doubt in your head, and then you've got this massive game, and Man City, have won so many titles. So from that point of view, you've always got to win. I understand the disappointment for Arsenal fans, but actually, I don't think you can't play well every week. There's 19 home games in a Premier League season, and you can't win them all 3 or 4-0. And when Arsenal did get that goal, I thought, you know what? They've not been brilliant today. They've been okay. You found a way to win against a good side. That would be a massive boost. Winning when you're not at your best. But what do Brentford do? They battle like they do. They go for the percentage balls. They win them and they end up with a goal and it's 1-1. And it's the right result. A draw was a fair result. So you just got to take it on the chin, Arsenal. And yeah, maybe that Man City game is looming in their heads. You know, everyone wants to play that game. Everyone's up for that. It's at the Emirates. They've got to get something out of it. The bottom line is that Arsenal need to not get beat in that game, and I don't think they will. And I think that the title is there for them. They're just probably going through a bit of a blip, and everyone goes through a bit of a blip, but it's not a major blip, is it? 1-0 loss to Everton and a 1-1 draw with Brentford. It's not the end of the world, but you wouldn't know that if you were on social media, because it's like, he got this wrong, he got that wrong, he didn't play well, and it's like, you're having an amazing season. You're having an amazing season. Brentford are having an amazing season. Put some respect on Brentford's name and, you know, dust yourself off and go down again, because this is what happens. These things can happen. And, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of twists and turns in this league. And remember, Brentford went to the Etihad and won this season. So, you know, anyone who's getting the disappointment of not winning is fresh, and I understand that. But the reality is, trust me, it's not a bad result in the sense that it's not an embarrassing result. To draw at home to Brentford. It's disappointing, but it's not embarrassing. As for Potter, you know, I haven't had a lot of time from that draw between West Ham and Chelsea and then going to watch the 3:00 games, but I'm not surprised by some of the reaction. I go on social media and, you know, there's some really good Chelsea fans who get that they're in a transition. But I even saw a journalist saying, you know, they've only won 2 in their last 19. I've always, I think from day one, there's been an arrogance around Potter, and it's almost like a pretend, oh, it's great he's got the job, I hope he does really well, but I just need an inch and I'm going to stick the knife in. And that's what it feels like with some Chelsea fans and some of the press. They're desperate to undermine Potter. And look, maybe Potter won't be the right manager for Chelsea, but it's still too early. I cannot understand how a Chelsea fan can be pushing for Potter to go, or a journalist, when he's just had £300 million in January. That is the biggest January transfer window spend, I think, in Premier League history for an individual club. And it's only the 11th of February. And people are talking about the last 13 games. Idiots. Idiots with a capital I. Like, he's had £300 million to spend in January on players, or spent on him in January. That's backing. That's transition. That's a bedding in period. That's going to take time. Why would you sack him in February? Like, I can't even believe there are Chelsea fans thinking that's a logical idea. I can't even believe there are journalists hinting at it. It would be absolutely incredible. You have got to give him at least the start of next season. Forget this season. You've got to give him the summer to have a pre-season, which he's not actually had. You've got to give him the rest of this season to bed in the signings and get some people back from injury. And you've got to buy him a proper striker in the summer. And then next season you look at it. And I looked at Chelsea today for periods of play and I thought they were really good. I thought they were very good against Fulham when they lost and then João Felix got sent off. I thought they were very good at Anfield and probably deserved to win that game. So, as I said, I look at Chelsea since João Felix came in. They lost to Fulham. I think they would have won that game if João Felix hadn't got sent off. They beat Palace 1-0. They drew at Liverpool 0-0. Drew against Fulham 0-0, and then they've drawn today. So really, in their last 5 games, well, certainly the last 4 games, 1 goal conceded, 3 draws and 1 win. They need to score goals. But I look at that team, they've got some good players, and they must be given the opportunity to breathe and grow. And I just don't get why certain Chelsea fans are going, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing, or it's ridiculous, or this, that, and the other. It's like, John, just get a bit of patience. Get a bit of perspective. Get behind your club. He's not going to get the sack. You're not the manager. So just get behind the manager and give him some time. And people say, oh, Goldbridge, you didn't do it with Van Gaal and Mourinho and Solskjaer. You don't know me and you don't know what I said. I was very late with Mourinho to say Mourinho out, and I was very late with Solskjaer to say Mourinho out. I gave it every opportunity for it to work until the writing was on the wall. And trust me, there ain't no one's even starting the first letter for the writing on the wall with Potter. There's a long way to go. He might not work. I think he will, but it's ridiculous the pressure that's being put on him. And I'm not even a Chelsea fan, and I think it's disgusting. And I think it shows a lack of foresight, and I think it shows a lack of football knowledge. And I think it's disgusting. I really do. He's had £300 million spent in January. He's not had a pre-season. He's had loads of injuries. In your last 4 games, you've conceded 1 goal, you've drawn 3, and you've won 1. That's a platform. You're not conceding goals. You should be scoring more goals as well. Havertz is rubbish. But, you know, he obviously is looking at people like Fofana and alternatives, and Braho's injured, and they haven't got a striker. So he obviously feels that Havertz is the best option. He's just not performing. He's not repaying that faith. And they're going through transition. Mason Mount would normally be a starter. Obviously, he could be on his way out. He's not performing. So there's a lot for Potter to do there. And I think the fans should be getting behind him. As for Arsenal, what a game on Wednesday. Disappointing, but I wouldn't dwell on it any more than that. It's a bit like our draw against Leeds on Wednesday. It was disappointing not to win after the momentum we had, but ultimately we didn't win. We've been on a good run. And, you know, just sometimes you can't win every game. I don't know where this mentality's come from that you win every game. You don't win every game. That's just not it. Nobody wins every game. So you can't throw your toys out of the pram when you don't win a game, because nobody wins every game. Anyway, get your comments in below, smash a like on the video, subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in a bit. I'm on TalkSport at 7:30 on the YouTube channel as well, and National Radio if you want to call in and have your say. Speak to you in a bit.